Hi, I'm Pat Kennedy with Kennedy Custom Butchering out here at the Bar SC Ranch. Going to show you how we butcher hogs.
Howdy, and welcome to the Bar SC Ranch, where you will experience our journey of running a family business, caring for animals, and doing life together. Subscribe now and be inspired here at the Bar SC.
As you can see, we already got his head and feet off. And we put him in a cradle. It keeps you from having to be bent over so far working on the ground. That height is about the best height that I like. And then it's kind of the step one is head and feet. Step two is you got to start working to try to get the height off. And so we'll start that now. I'll show you the quickest way for that. You have to run your knife down his belly without going into him, just underneath the skin. And it has to be sharp. If it's not sharp, it's not going to go very well. So all the way down his mid-seam. Same thing on each leg. And work our way to the back. And all the cuts are made on the top because we're going to try to, in a few, we're going to pick him up by his tendons back here. So you never want to cut down the back because you might cut his tendons. So you come off the top. For some of the things you're going to have to need good skinning knives. There's a difference between a skinning knife and a regular knife. So this is called a boning knife. They're straight and some are curved. And obviously the skinning knife has more of a belly to it. So when you're making your swipes, you're not, because essentially you're not cutting, you're kind of just sliding through. So you want a really good sharp skinning knife, boning knife. This is for beef. For hogs is obviously a little smaller. A good steel, smooth. They make 3 different kinds of steels. Coarse is probably like what you have in your kitchen. It'll have grooves in it. These are smooth or polished. I don't know if you can see the difference. You can see the little lines in there. That's called a smooth, and this is called a polish. It'll make a razor. You can shave with it. It has to be sharp. And then when we get to the point of going to pick him up, this goes through his back legs, a steel gamble. They make different kinds of aluminum, any kind you want. And it's essentially just, like I said, going to go through his back legs, and we're going to be able to hang him that way. Hogs and lambs, you can split them with just a basic sawzall or what's called a big, super expensive well saw. And all you need is a little generator, some chains to get them moved around. Like I said, a cradle. Rubber boots are a must, and rain pants. And then you're ready to get started. And the key, especially on pigs, is take your time. If you don't take your time, it's gonna not look very good and you're gonna lose all your bacon. I was just gonna kind of explain how I got into this. Is I was raised on a farm and we raised our own animals, and so we ended up having to learn how to butcher our own. So that's how I learned, was trial and error. And I make it look, not to pat my own back, but I make it look easy. A lot of guys, that's why they call me to do it. They'll read up on it or try to do it, and it comes out bad. No bacon, or they'll do one and I'll do 10. Normally, beef. I think I'm faster on beef. I've done 12 beef in a day, 7:30 to 2, and left with 12. Pigs, I think I did 19 in a day. But it all takes time, and if you're going to do it yourself, just again, clean. Everything's super clean and incredibly sharp. Invest in really good knives. Read up a lot, and just take your time. I mean, it's not going to spoil in cool weather. You got plenty of time. But I think the most important is cleanliness. And then the more time you take, the smoother the job it's going to look. And then you know where your food comes from. It's not just little white packages that are planted in the ground. Somebody took the time to raise this guy, and good feed, and then that's where your good food comes from. Okay, so we kind of got his front area opened up and got that off. And I started in the back kind of corner. like I already started here, but I'm gonna, like it would be starting on this side. Because right in here is all your bacon, is on his belly. So the key is not to cut that off. And you can see, almost see through the skin how thin it is. So your knife has to be sharp to ride in between the hide and the meat. Otherwise you're gonna have huge knife marks and you'll cut your bacon off. So it should just glide just like that. And pig hair really dulls your knife, and you can see how thin it is, and you're cutting through the hair follicles, and pig hair dulls your knife. So stay on your steel. Just a couple swipes, keep that sharp. If it's not sharp, go back and resharpen it, or you're gonna butcher it up real bad. But you can kind of come in, get it started. Get a handful, lift up, and then you're just kind of making swipes. So I mentioned before about on the hog, here's where all your bacon lives, is in his belly. So as you can see my knife marks, you just, as you're skinning, you're just staying as tight to the hide as you can. You can see I left all the fat on there, one nick, but you don't want to nick any of the bacon. You want this all nice and uniform smooth. Just a couple big swipes, get the hide down as far as you can, and then you're gonna start working your way back towards the hindquarter. And obviously here's your ham. So you obviously don't want any nicks or knife marks in that either. The key is to keep it smooth, clean, and really sharp knife, and you'll have it. Okay, so we worked our way around the side of his ham, and you can use your knife down to here, and this is the tendon I was telling you about. We're essentially going to poke a hole right through, and that's what the gamble is going to pick him up. So when you're coming around the backside, you want to be careful and not cut this, or you can't pick him up. And when you get it down into here, a lot of times on them, you can get a handful of it and give it a pull down. And again, that keeps it smooth, no knife marks, and you're leaving as much material on the carcass, and you're not wasting anything. And then we're going to do more of that once we get him up. I'm going to do this side now, then we'll pick him up. Okay, so we got down to the tendon, just like we did on this side. And you can kind of just work it down, and then you're going to, I get it away from it, so you're good and safe. And then this is where you can kind of pull, and this is going to come down a little bit. And it'll help you get a handful of that, and sometimes it'll start to pull right off for you. This one doesn't want to. But when he's hanging, it's way easier than trying to do this upside down. But his bacon, you don't want to pull anything here. The hide stuck on their belly is pretty good. Anytime you're going to pull is when we'll show you in a minute, when it's lifted up and you kind of get back by his tail, and then it'll start to pull off. And again, it'll be all nice and smooth and clean and look nice. Okay, now got all the hide off the side. Everything's done. His rump, around the rump area. And you come in here and make a spot for your gamble in between his leg bone and the tendon. Come like that. And just stick a, now you got a spot. Hang him. Take your gamble, stick him right in like that. And when we lift up here, he'll slide out and hang on the hooks. We'll be able to lift him up in the air. Okay, so obviously we got him hung up, and essentially what you want to do, get him around his hams and rump like this, down to his tail, and then you're going to come in from the side and skin in, and you're going to leave a strip down his backbone like this, and then that's all you have to have for when you get there, and then you'll be able to grab his tail or part of his hide and just pull back. I mean, as you can see, it already starts to pull. And then that's just a trick for saving you a lot of skinning, and it keeps it nice and smooth. So we'll come in from the side. You just, same thing as all the way around, just ride the hide. You're almost pushing your knife against the hide with some tension, and just let the knife do the work. And like I said, you're just going to go in towards his backbone, and it's going to get thinner as you get along his back. The hide's thinner on his back. Okay. On this side. So he's skinned on both sides down to his backbone. And back up to the top here. And you're going to take his tailbone off. Once you get that opened up, kind of a handle, pull it off. And then up here, give this an opening up. That. And then you're going to start getting, there's a bone, H bone in between his two hams here. You can usually get it with your knife. It lives right there. Now his legs will want to come open all the way. And then you come in here and start this part. What I do is I get it opened up so you don't pop his bladder. Then you're going to put my knife in backwards. And then one quick motion, you're going to go all the way down to his brisket. Like that. And everything will start to kind of just come out. And then get a handful up here, and if you're careful, the bladder, anything won't, you kind of get a handful of his bladder here, and just pull that out. You don't have any mess on the meat. Charlie wants the liver. Take his liver out. Okay, so when you're going to take his, reach down to get his heart out, some people save it and eat it. You can reach down behind his, these are his lungs right here. You just run your hand down behind him. You'll feel like a baseball, and it'll slide right out. And I'll show you. Pigs' hearts are the same as ours. And there it is. So the pig heart is similar to, almost exactly the same as our heart. Same thing, 4 chambers. Normally I get a lot of pigs a year. So I have a doctor friend that wants all the hearts that I get, lamb and pig hearts, and he takes them back to the research place to train other heart surgeons. And that's what they practice on is pig hearts. So we'll cut in and see if we can show you the 4 chambers. It's just like ours. So if I'm trying to remember right and left, I think it's ventricles, and then blood in from the lungs and blood out, and it's the same thing. And then it's pumping it all the way around. So non-oxygenated blood and then oxygenated blood back around through. But yeah, a lot of people save the pig hearts and beef hearts to eat. Okay, his lungs, same spot. They come out, and they're almost like a sponge. You can see, I mean, hard to think that would fill up with air, but it's very similar to ours. 4 chambers each side, but that's them. And some people save them to eat them. So here, we did his heart and liver, or his heart and lungs, and here's his liver. Same thing, they all have them, all animals do. Some people save it and eat it, but the one thing you want to get rid of is his gallbladder here. It's a toxic little, not yummy stuff. So there's a million ways to take it off. This is the way I do it. I'm real careful around it, so I lose a little bit of liver when I do it, but safe than sorry. So I just kind of come underneath him, and I just trim that all the way off. And then you have, that's what's left, is gallbladder. You don't want to get that on anything you're going to eat. And if you're going to save them, some people save them, different nationalities and stuff save it for hog casings. You've probably heard that sausages are made out of. Well, that's where this comes from. So here's the end of his little system here. And then it goes small intestine, large intestine, his stomach. But yeah, same with beef. Some people save this, wash it all out, and stuff it with hog sausage. So we got everything else out that's edible, unless you want it. This is his pancreas. And then you just trim all the last little bits out. And you can see he's all clean inside. And then we'll be ready to split him in half. So before we're gonna split him, I'll show you, if you're not gonna take him to a locker and you're gonna do it at home, you can come in, and you don't have to have a saw. Right behind his shoulder blade, you can come in with your knife and you'll take the front quarter off. And same on this side, you can come in right in with your knife, right behind his shoulder blade, and this whole quarter will come off. So that's, if you heard of 4 quarters, 1, 2, 3, 4. And same on the hind quarter. You can just come in with your knife. You'll be able to take this whole ham away and smoke it, or bone the whole thing out through the ribs, save your bacons if you want, or smoke the whole thing, or grind it and make sausages. But this one's gonna go to locker, so they want them split, and the reason that we split them is it's easier for them to hang and they cool off. In the summertime, if it's hot, just this gap sometimes isn't enough air circulation, so we split them completely in 2 pieces. And then when he hangs, he cools off completely, and you won't have what's called a sour bone, where the thicker meat doesn't cool off quick enough and it'll taste sour. But cooler weather, he's fine. Like I said, now we'll grab the saw. You can use a hand saw, meat saw, and essentially I do it from this side. You can come down his back, but on pigs, beef, I split from the back. It's just, you need to see this seam, and you only have a backbone that's about that wide, and you need to split it perfectly in half, otherwise your chops won't have the right looking bone on it. So you're going to split him straight down his backbone, down through his brisket, and he'll just come apart in 2 pieces. So you can see everything's out, it's all nice and clean. When we came in from the top, this is the bone I was talking about, the H-bone goes right in between. And usually you can I can pop it with a knife, or you can get it with a saw. And again, that opens his legs up for us to come through and split him in half. His kidneys are still inside on hogs and beef. I leave them in. So, because essentially we're going to split him perfectly in half here. So when he's hanging in the locker in the cooler, this little bit of lard that's stuck on the inside, and his kidneys keeps that chops and everything moist and doesn't dry out in the locker. So now we'll split him. Do brisket first, and come up. So after he's split, I leave a little bit of this back meat together. But you can see I went evenly down his spine on both sides. So when your chops and everything, ribs are cut, that's nice and smooth. The last thing you're gonna cut out is part of his throat that's just left in there. You just trim that out. And again, now he's messy, get him all washed up, he's done. And the reason I leave this on, so when you go to lay him in the truck or hang him in, this keeps this hog together. If you're going to do multiple pigs at a time, you're not mix matching halves. So you just leave that little piece, and then when you're done, you can just cut it right off and you're fine.
Hey everyone, thanks for checking out our video today. This is definitely more of an animal education video. We do like to raise our own hog meat, Pat here has been a good buddy of ours for a couple of years. He ensures that our hogs get processed, clean and properly. We do like to participate and help out, and we thought you might be interested in the process and how we do things here on the ranch. Hopefully there's a little educational, learning about some of the anatomy. Pat was showing you the lungs, the heart, the liver, some parts of the hog that can also be eaten, as well as just understanding the anatomy of how the hog is put together. So thanks for checking out our videos. More great animal education videos on our animal education playlist. Check that out. Thanks for watching.